Welcome back to Dive Guernsey Shipwrecks. This is JP Fallais, and to summarise, we're on Dive Guernsey day out number 8. We've just dived the Figaro, and now we're heading in right and close to the cliffs to see if we can find the Ocean Queen. That's a nice sailing boat. Right, we're going to go and have a look for one that we haven't looked for before. I certainly haven't dived it, and I don't know many people that have. It's just below the church spire here in the TL. So this is the TLs coming down, and it's called the Ocean Queen. She was lost on the 2nd of March 1906, a Friday, which we know is a bad day for wrecking boats. A Friday's a bad luck, and also it was 2 o'clock in the morning, so there's not many lights on this coast. Even today there's not many lights, so 1906 would have been, yeah, a lot worse, considering people didn't even have electric in their houses till the 1930s. There's a plane taking off, that's cool. This is why I got no drone footage from around the, within the distance for the airport. But we're going to come down and we're going to have a look just in the bottom here, just in the, as the TLs goes around the corner. She's 421 tonnes, built 1903, registered in London, 46 metres long, 7.3 metres wide, 3.4 metres deep, built by J. Mayer and Steppenhu MG Zolhund, which was in Dutch, and the owners were London and Channel Island Steamship Company, St Dunstan's building, St Dunstan Hill, London. So this one's been salvaged quite a lot. John Martel salvaged a lot of stuff on this one. Our first search area is in this small bay. Our search area is based on an image. This is the image we've used, so you can see the cliffs in the background. Just coming in, this is the TL, so you can walk down this part. We believe the wreck is just about here. I say I don't know anyone that's dived it for years and years. Heavily salvaged, as most of the wrecks around Guernsey were. But we'll see if there's anything left. What have we got to lose? We've got nothing to lose, only gain. And we're on a Dive Guernsey day out, so we always try and get a new one in. Fingers crossed we find something, even if it's just little bits of steel, little bits of metal, I'll be happy. At least we can say we've done it. On one of my videos I do a comparison of then and now, and I walk all the way down to here, right down to the bottom here, and take a photo that way.
That way if anything, I suppose.
Yeah, I reckon it's in here. Let's get ready, let's get in there, see if we can find it, rediscover it again. Let's go and have a look. After about 40 minutes searching, and up and down once or twice, I decide it can't be in this area. I have not seen anything, no rust, no plates, nothing. So, time to head back up to the surface and have another look at this photograph. Right, I've just come up. I pretty much swum all in this bay on this side, and now we're questioning if it's there, because there's not one tiny bit of scrap metal on the seabed. There's no iron, there's no rust, there's nothing. So Matt's been looking back at the photograph we had, and he thinks it's in here. So we think it's laying in, actually in here somewhere. I mean, there's rocks, you can't see the rock, but there's a rock just here under. So where do you reckon it is, mate?
Because the question is, where's that rock there?
They might have to go in the wheelhouse. I can't really see. That's it.
Yeah, that rock there is on its own.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that bit there, we were looking in this bay here, I wonder if it's actually this next bit along.
I think you could be right, mate. I think we've been diving in the wrong place. Yeah, because that rock certainly, like you say, that rock on the side there, I think is that rock there, and we've been looking the other side. So, oh well, let's give it a go, mate. Let's give it a go. I reckon you could be right. I reckon you're right. This rock here is that rock you're looking at. Well, let's go. Alright, take 2.
3.
I'll take 3.
Here's a found the ocean key. Awesome.
Plates everywhere. Now this is something I recognise. Nearly every shipwreck has one of these. In fact, I can't think of any shipwreck that doesn't have one of these. This is one of the strongest parts of the boat. Hence, that's why you use it to moor up. This is a bollard. Probably asking yourself, why is it so smashed up? Well, it's in a very exposed area in very shallow water. To top this off, it was also salvaged by Mr. John Martel with his ship, the Pioneer of Truro. And here it can be seen helping out with the construction of Plattforshire Lighthouse. Mr. John Martel was a very busy man. He's worked on such wrecks as the Liverpool, the Viper, the Shipwrecks on Baru. He also had the rights to the Forth in the North of Herm, and then the Ocean Queen. The largest object he took off of this shipwreck was a 22-ton steam boiler. Mr. Martel's largest portion of this wreck that he salvaged was a 22-ton boiler. This was floated into the South Esplanade beach, and after several unsuccessful attempts to get it ashore, a number of men of the Royal Garrison Artillery, by means of winches and huge ropes, after 2 or 3 days hard work, managed to haul it up the slip and place it in the corner near Messrs. Velpe's store. Here the boiler had remained after defying several attempts to break it up until it was finally purchased by Mr. Hunt. With the view to breaking this boiler up, the work was being placed in the hands of Mr. T.G. Wyatt, engineering plumber of North Clifton. The task was commenced on 20th of March 1920. The method employed being to subject the plates, which are 1.5 inches thick, to a blast of intense heat, which is generated by a mixture of oxygen and acetylene. Although this press refers to the Channel Queen boiler, it also mentions T.G. Wyatt of Upper Clifton cutting open a boiler at the South Esplanade, which has been there, a prominent object, for many years. I believe this was actually the Ocean Queen, and not the Channel Queen, and someone's got mixed up with the names. This then leads on to a question that needs to be asked. What is this object that's in the middle of Havelock Bay? It's been here a long time and none of our fishermen can remember. It's on aerial photography from before World War II. I think this is the donkey boiler from the Ocean Queen. Not quite sure why it got left on the beach and the heavier object of 22 tons got removed, but I'm only speculating. I'm sure John Martel would have remembered this salvage of the Ocean Queen fairly well, as it left quite a telling mark on his body. Whilst they were salvaging the boiler, a piece of metal got caught between his finger and the side of the boat and basically chopped his finger almost completely off. It was hanging on a little thread of skin, so he got out his pocket knife, cut off the rest and threw it overboard. Later on that evening, when he got back, he had a doctor look at it and sew it up. Mr. Martel of the Foquet de Haut Cartel never even got to see the boiler getting cut up, as on the 21st of July 1917 he was working on a shipwreck which was on shore at the Cap de la Hague. This shipwreck was called the Fricker. He was overcome by noxious fumes and he perished in the hold of the vessel during a dry dive. His body was recovered and buried in France. A month later, the body was exhumed and brought in the Pioneer, the steamer which he owned, to Alderney and thence conveyed to Guernsey by the mail steamer. He was then interned once more with his mum and dad at the Cartel Church. There is many familiar shapes, yet it's a very confused shipwreck. This is typical for a shipwreck. It even turned this dead ormer shell rusty. You can also see some other parts, possibly general cargo. Could have even been a bag of cement, or even ballast right in the bottom of the boat. This is probably why there's some left. Look how thick this plate is. It's got to be 1.5 inches. This looks a lot more like the general cargo it's carrying. It's typical to have bags of cement, and these things, when they get wet, take to the shape of the bottom of the bag, and I think this is what we can see here. I think it's time to return back to the surface and let Matt come down and explore the bones of this old shipwreck. Yeah, we found it. I'm tied it to a bollard up the front of the boat. There's a lot of plates left and a lot of ribs. A couple of boxes, or maybe the combing for a deck hatch or something like that. But I'm quite excited about that, refinding that. Looks like we've done it again. That's another shipwreck off the list. Rediscovered. It's pretty smashed up, to say the least. So basically it's just laying in this pot, exactly where we thought it was, laying all the way down here in 6 or 7 meters of water. The only real thing that I could work out what was the bollard, which I tied into. That's turned now. So that's a new wreck for me and a new wreck for Matt, and I don't know anyone that's been here lately. Possibly some of the boys from round the corner at Leray, but basically I've tied into a bollard here, so I reckon there could be another bollard on the outside. That's the rock we can see in the picture, and the shipwreck literally runs all the way down here to about here somewhere. I ran out of wreck, so I wanted Matt to have a dive as well, to have a look at it. But that's a new one. That's another off the list. So I think I've only got about 20 left on my list now, but that's the next 20 years. Look at it around here, the scenery on the south coast, the TLs. It's absolutely lovely around here. Because it's the south coast, we've got the sun behind us. So the Ocean Queen, she set sail from London on the 1st of March 1906 with a general cargo. She had 12 crew on board, and they went all the way down to Jersey first to offload the majority of her cargo. It was a general cargo. Just off the south coast of Guernsey, she hit thick haze and was ordered slow ahead, but struck the Anemone rock, which is this rock here. That's the Anemone. Somehow landed in here, sunk in here. Just a quarter of a mile from Crumai water place is round the corner. Water started to pour in through a gaping hole. With Captain Jones expecting the worst, he ordered all crew into the launch and abandoned his ship. Drifting in thick haze, they were very close to land. They could not see it. Cool, that's crazy. Very in thick haze. Look, they've crashed here. What's that? 10 meters away? 15 meters away? Mind you, bear in mind this is a shipwreck, so there'll be drama and chaos and darkness as well as fog. They found themselves amongst moored fishing boats in Petitbow Bay. They waited for better visibility, then proceeded to row ashore. The other lifeboat rowed towards Lemoy and were picked up by the Alert and dropped into St. Peter Port the next day. All the crew at Petitbow Bay were transported to St. Peter Port in a horse and trap owned by Mr. Gilbert. Having lost all their belongings, the Shipwreck Mariners Society provided them with clothing and accommodation. The Captain Jones returned to the scene and noted that the funnel mast were visible at high tide, and it was thought that it was to be salved, but this was never the case and remained in a resting place to this day. Well, it was salved by John Martel a lot later. Islanders came to the scene with cars running from opposite Elizabeth College for a price of £2 each way on the 4th and 5th. Bishop & Co from St Martin's Livery Stables ran a twice daily wagonette service from Fountain Street to the scene of the wreck for £1 each way. Small boats come from Luray and Plymouth and attempted to salvage parts of the cargo. Messieurs Lecoutier brothers was appointed the official salvaging agents for this one, and the Ocean Queen traded between Thames and the Channel Islands. It was one of several queens which traded. No casualties, that's what we like to hear. So Matt's on tide now because my delade's floating towards us. So Matt's coming back up now. We'll get him back on the boat any second, and then we're off to our next location. Where? I don't know. It's a Dive Guernsey day out, don't plan anything. If it happens, it happens. You can actually see him on the seabed there, look. See his bubbles streaming up. Okay, that's the Ocean Queen rediscovered. Don't think anyone's dived that for a long time. Matt's just putting the ladder away, and then we're going to head off to our next location. We're not sure where it is, but I'm sure I'll tell you when we get there. We're going to go around the south of the island and then up the west coast. There's the witch's house, or the watchtower. Stay tuned. Another shipwreck coming up very soon.